we call them feeder and growers, but they're not growing the way that they would inside the womb. As soon as they're about to come out, we're like, oh, we have to do everything we possibly can to get you to the point that you can survive outside the womb, because it's a very different environment. In the womb, it's all liquid. And in the womb, you're all surviving from diffusion from the placenta and from the mom. And once you're out, you have to breathe the air, and your lungs have to work. And that is the biggest rate limiting step, is surfactant and lungs. And so as soon as the baby's about to come out, they'll shoot them with steroids to help maximize their lung development before they come out. But once they're out, they're in a nice protected environment where they can't get infection and where we can feed them and grow them.
Mm-hmm. So the gestational development is not where it would normally be.
Yeah, it's a different world. You're growing outside in air rather than inside in liquid. You're eating our food through your gut versus diffusing it through your umbilicus and the placenta. So it's just a totally different, it's nowhere near an artificial womb. It's just how we keep you alive on the outside. And then the ethical questions, when I was looking at preemies, they would end up blind, they would end up mentally messed up, their lungs would be shot, and so they'd have like cystic fibrosis-ish, not the all over body stuff, but just their lungs would be horrible, and they'd all end up with ostomies. And I was like, if you have the choice to bring that in the world, should you be doing that? Because your kid's gonna be blind, messed up in the head, can't breathe, and an ostomy, who's gonna wanna marry that? Why are you bringing that? But people, obviously can grow attached in the 24 weeks and that they're gestating it. But that is the problem, is like, we can keep it. Do you want to keep it or you want to let it go? And it's your choice which way you want to go. But I hope you're doing it knowing what future you're choosing for your child.
Yeah. Thank you. Matt, anything to add?
Really? I'm not a scientist.
I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine, and I was talking to her about artificial wombs, and before I got into it too much, I thought it was interesting, and she said, oh, they already walk among us, and I was like, wait, did I miss something? But she was talking about IVF babies, so test tube babies, which have become more of the norm since, I think, the first test tube baby was born in the 80s.
1980.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, 78.
81.
78?
78, Louise Brown was the first IVF baby. English woman.
40 years.
40 years, yeah. But actually, that was going to be one of my questions for the group is, so what I find interesting is, in your story, which was amazing, by the way, and I can see parallels in thinking about the Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. A lot of the fears that surround artificial wombs are usually, in my mind, fall under the naturalistic fallacy category of it's not natural, therefore it's not good. And a lot of the arguments against IVF when Louise Brown was born was, the inter-reproduction is terrible. Like, what parallels do you see between like IVF and what's happened and that? Because I don't think any of us in this room, I don't know you, but would say IVF is a terrible technology that should be ended. And it hasn't like changed most of our lives unless you're an infertile couple that couldn't conceive before. So, like, are there parallels between that and artificial womb future? That you
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question, because I think as far as the development side of it, IVF with a rabbit was in the 50s, so it was about 20 years between when the procedure with an animal made it to humans. So I'm intrigued to see if that time frame ends up being similar with artificial wombs. I imagine probably longer.
I think that it also depends on like how many children are had that way. So if there's a greater proportion of the population that are had with IVF or with artificial wombs, it's going to be a hot topic that people are actually going to notice. But if it's only for the outliers or for people that really need it to reproduce, I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue. So it's really just like how big is that issue in the public eye?
Yeah, I think the big difference with IVF is that you're still using the womb. The woman is still attached to the pregnancy. So I don't know, what do you think about that question?
Well, I think that there's a key word I've heard tonight several times talking to different people, which is choice. I mean, the IVF thing, I think Louise Brown, well, actually, I don't really know the history, but was it the mother medical condition that made her unable to carry the baby, or was it just an experiment?
I think the mother carried the baby. It was her genetic material, but I think the couple was infertile. infertile and so
Okay.
they needed to use IVF.
So the infertility, I just think these technologies are putting this whole choice question, which we're familiar with in terms of pro-life, pro-choice, right? The right to reproduce or not, right? The right to see a pregnancy through or not. I think this is that issue, but like 10 times worse. Because it's not just, keep the baby or not keep the baby. It's like, should I grow the baby in my body? Should I grow the baby outside my body? Should I grow the baby in vitro? Should it be genetically manipulated? It's like, to me, this is what I talk about in my class. It's like today's pro-choice, pro-life culture wars are nothing compared to the culture wars that will probably occur if we have this kind of technology as commonplace, as a choice out there, just among many choices ranging from, everything from celibacy to birth control to artificial womb. It just expands our options for reproduction. So I think if it becomes a consumer choice, which I think is what I tried to talk about in the story, it's beyond IVF and it's beyond abortion. It's like a thing that you buy and it commercializes the whole relationship.
So if a billionaire decides to buy an entire lab of these artificial wombs and clone himself, thousands of
Right,
times.
right.
That's a problem.
Your problem.
Everyone is really sad about that, but I think that the key is how democratized the technology is, right? Like, no one says the same thing about vaccines, yet that is also artificial and you're basically hacking your immune system, but everyone's like all in favor of that. So why is this so different than vaccines if it's available to everyone?
I think in the case of vaccines, it's kind of like you're using your body's immune system, I guess, to create the...
You're basically injecting like, I guess, weakened version of the virus to create antibodies so that you don't fall sick later on.
So there's a little bit of the almost natural aspect of it, like your body's kind of like designed to respond in that way. Like, I think that it errs on that side where if it's an artificial womb, it's completely artificial, like, and it's taking a step back.
And it's more of it's challenging human, natural experience that one sex experiences physiologically. So I think that's a bit of a different
But that's the same
ballgame.
with birth control, you're subverting that anyway, right?
Yeah, you can make that argument in a variety of ways, I think.
You could say that also with formula, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's absolutely artificial, and how many of us have had formula in our lives? Huge percentage in this room. And from the feminist point of view, I think the artificial womb is amazing because you don't, if men had to, and then would have been here a lot faster.
It already did that for me.
No, you don't deliver a bowling ball through what used to be like this to 10 centimeters in the span of 16 hours. I want to see you do that. And I want to see you do that 3 times. And then I want to see you squirt milk out of your boobs.
You guys want to see that? I did an illustration of that. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
And then you have the risk of it's preeclampsia, which, as we all know, Serena Williams suffered after her, but most women suffer it before, where it's, to me, like Ebola. You have the risk of Ebola. Like, why risk Ebola? And then also, there is the controlling and policing of women's lives. You can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do anything. Well, how about we put it here and give it the optimal food and I don't have any of that guilt? Or I ate cupcakes throughout, I think, pregnancy, but I also ate cupcakes postpartum, and what effect has that had on my child because of the insulin, and now she's gonna blow up and be obesity, and it's all my fault and none of my husband's fault. All this guilt, for the rest of my life, oh, she's that way because you ate a cupcake.
One cupcake.
Whiskey.
All right, let's maybe shift gears a little bit. We're going to explore much more of this as we go through. So I want to talk real quick about genetic engineering, CRISPR. That was part of the title of this talk, so I'd like to speak to it. I'm certainly not a CRISPR expert, but I thought that I would try and set the stage. If anybody in the audience is, I apologize ahead of time. So the short story is, and I was going to try and memorize this, but then I gave up like an hour ago. Clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats. Somebody knows it. So I think if I were to summarize from what I've read, that what CRISPR is It's been optimized from a bacterial system. So way back in the day, and I actually think the lab that discovered this was focused on just understanding this bacterial immune system. And what was kind of cool about that is not a lot of people were looking at it at the time. So when this discovery came forth and how it can apply to the human system, they were one of the few that were into that research at the time, and it became obviously explosive. But the way I thought of it is that a viral particle or phage is attacking the bacteria. Basically, they have this CRISPR-Cas9 system. Cas9 protein is launched and it cleaves the viral DNA. And I think takes like a mugshot of the viral DNA and inserts it back into, via an RNA guide, back into bacterial DNA. And so it's kind of like taking a mugshot. So if the bacteria sees that DNA again, it can respond more effectively. So they were looking at that system. They figured out they can use the CRISPR-Cas system, I guess, model in human cells as well. So it's highly specific. I don't know if this is a good metaphor, but I think of it as genetic engineering before being like a sawed-off shotgun, and you're looking at a target and you're just kind of like hitting maybe everything weirdly, and it's not very specific, and now we have like laser sight accuracy. Where do we want to edit the gene? And there's a variety of different applications. You can excise the gene or the sequence that you don't want, and coax the sequence to come together and fix it. And then you can do basically like a find and replace it with what you want. That's my understanding so far. And the other point about CRISPR that I think is important to understand is you can edit the genome in humans in a variety of ways. This also applies to agriculture, a lot of other applications, clean energy. But as far as the human editing goes, you can edit germ cells, so your sex cells, and anything you would edit at that stage would be passed on to offspring. So that's an important distinction, I think. And you'll find that in a lot of countries, editing germ cells is illegal. It's not even allowed to.
States, I think.
Yeah, I think in the U.S. you can, but it becomes, the FDA has to be involved. I'm not totally sure, but
I
it's.
think you can edit germline cells here. I think only somatic so far.
Yeah, so somatic cells are all of your other body cells. So your hair, your muscle tissue, your blood, and those cells could be targeted specifically even when you're an adult. So if you had lung cancer and you wanted to target cells that had an EGFR mutation, you could potentially do that with the CRISPR system. So you'll hear a lot of resistance to the germline editing, like you want to change eye color, you want to edit something that could potentially be passed on to generations that have not consented to those changes. But somatic editing seems to be a little bit more palatable. So that's my summation. Anybody want to add anything on CRISPR?
Can I add one thing?
Yeah,
This is a generally nice description. I would also add that CRISPR is not the only game in town. There's zinc finger nuclease technology that was actually around before CRISPR, but I agree with you. I think the advent of CRISPR allows you to do site-directed gene editing. So the ability to just randomly insert a genetic material in a human cell has existed for a long time. But the ability to go in and like just edit this one little spot right where you want to, that's the magic. And as far as I know, there's zero, I don't think anyone's ever edited a human germ cell that's led to any kind of reproductive outcome ever.
Yeah, I think China has edited an embryo, but it did not go to pregnancy or did not go to term or anything. But I think they're the only ones that.
But they didn't edit, like that wasn't germline gene editing that they did.
Oh, was it?
No, that was editing at fetal stages as opposed to editing the germ cells that give rise to the.
Gotcha. So TBD on that.
I've also add, the nice thing about it now is it's turning into ecosystem, right? Since the purpose of version 1 of anything is to inspire other people to do it better, So people have jumped into it not just because of the